Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called PixelGolf by developer Pudgy Platypus Games. This is a game that is part of a 12 games in 12 week challenge. So the developer has taken on the challenge of trying to create a total of 12 games over the course of 3 months, once per week, and this is the first in that series. It's a very simple, very simplistic golf game, and as you can probably tell just by looking at it, you kind of have a good idea what's going to happen over the course of this. It's a total of 9 holes. We're going to be trying to get this, it sort of looks a little bit like a tiny rock over from wherever it starts over to the hole with the flag next to it, and it's got a sort of billiard-style golf swing mechanism where if I click over the ball, we actually drag a line, and then that's going to determine the trajectory. I was kind of thinking at first that it would you would point it in the direction that you want to hit it in, but it's actually the opposite. You're actually trying to establish where the swing starts from, and then it creates the arc from there. So we're trying our best just to knock it into the hole. And you're probably wondering, why would I cover something so simplistic when there's, so many other wild varieties of things out there? Well, I found this actually kind of inspirational in a way, because it is so simplistic, but it's also remarkably fun. And this is actually something that I think a lot of people that are maybe starting out in game dev could try something like. I mean, not necessarily just replicate this or anything, but if you have a concept that works that's quite like this, where there's just very little to have to figure out, I think it's really nice to start out in a humble place, and this is actually really good for that, because actually if you had too much complication going on here, I think it would actually dilute the fun of the whole experience. And in this case, I mean, we only have so many moving parts even, and I think as far as mechanisms and interaction goes, we've got the same tile set for all the grass and dirt stuff. We've got an edge, a top, and a bottom, which is just a mirrored version of the top. And then we've got an angle here, and then the dirt texture, and then a solid blue background, then a rotating ball, which is actually, that is one of the more complicated mechanisms, and then the golf swing mechanism is also a little bit more complex as well. And then we've also got this little particle effect as the ball rolls over the grass. Now, I was thinking this starts out as something that seems really accessible, and then I was thinking this also has a really good modularity to it, where you could take some of these concepts and really kind of expand on them in a lot of different ways. This hole in particular, I kind of got stuck on in my first playthrough. Sometimes I reset by just kicking the ball off the screen, and I think if I was to have any complaint, it would probably be that it's a little too easy at times to knock the ball off the screen by accident when you don't actually mean to, and I don't know if that's necessarily anything wrong with the game. It's probably just by design and everything, but I'd probably prefer that instead of it going off, maybe it would smack into something on the other side, and then we could kick it back in the other direction, because when you have to reset the hole too many times, well, I find that a little bit frustrating. But if you wanted to take this concept and make a whole bunch of different tile sets, different ground textures, different backgrounds and such, add a few little diversions to the gameplay, maybe add some different material properties. You could have water traps and such, where the ball might be a little harder to kick out of, sand traps, and a variety of tubes and pipes and things that you could kick things through. Well, you could add all sorts of different elements to it that you don't necessarily have to develop at the beginning, because you could actually start out just fine with the first 9 holes, which are just super simple, the dirt and grass texture, and then after that you could make the carnival funhouse and so on and so forth, into whatever themes you want, and just patch them in whenever you feel like getting it done. So, this is the type of game that I think works really well, especially when you're starting out, just because you can really take on one little project at a time. Oh yeah, that was a sweet hole-in-one. I definitely want some recognition. I want a firework or something to go off when I get a hole-in-one. There's also no sound or music, which in this case doesn't bother me in the least, because really this is not the kind of thing where that makes or breaks the situation. It's really just about the interactivity, and the interactivity works just fine. Yeah, I'm kind of overshooting the goal here a little bit. I also kind of appreciate, too, that the golf holes are not simplistic in the way that they're just oh, well, here's variations on a hill with a hole next to it. We've actually got some stuff that's a little bit more interesting, and I think, if anything, you could just keep going with that concept. But I was also thinking this would be something that would be really easy to overcomplicate, where you start adding too many moving parts. You add, backgrounds that are too noisy or colorful, foregrounds that maybe blend into the backgrounds, and all of a sudden, it doesn't seem as enjoyable to play, because there's so much you have to keep track of, and it might actually be sort of counterintuitive. Wow, that was way too hard on that shot. But this is it's nice because it's a nice medium of what we've got going on here. We've got just enough to see that it doesn't confuse anybody. The holes are reasonably challenging without being overly frustrating or difficult for the most part. And as much as I do wish there were maybe a few more elements to it, I think also it's better that the developer chose to keep things super simple to start anyway. Because I'm imagining, like, we added the windmill and then, like, the variety of different moving things, platforms that are going to take the ball around. It's just going to be so hard to get the ball through any of the parts that it's just going to be frustrating. Oh, yeah, that was actually a really good shot. And this is actually the last hole already. It's only 9 holes. Also, having a level editor would be fantastic for something like this because, well, I imagine once you have the parts set up, like once you've got the established thing going that, like, we have, you know, the slanted edges, we've got the flat edges, it's kind of just down to the collision takes care of itself. You just want to arrange things the way you want. So I ended up finishing the strokes 9 holes with 31 strokes. The first time I did this, I think I was in, like, the high 70s, so second time through I did a lot better. So that was Pixel Golf. It's really fun. I could definitely see me playing this a lot more if there happened to be more to this. I'm definitely going to be following this developer, see what other stuff he or she makes in the future, and I hope you enjoyed this little very simplistic breakdown of a 2D golf game. I'm hoping that maybe I can even create something like this at some point, because I really like the premise, and I had no idea that a golf game could be this fun as a side-scrolling experience. I kind of always picture them as, you know, top-down or, like, hybridized 2D, 3D situations, and, you know, this actually speaks volumes to me. This was really fun. So, if you want to go check out Pixel Golf, you can see if you can compete with my score. Try and get better than 31 strokes if you can. Link's going to be right in the description of this video, and you can play it right in your browser. You don't even have to download anything. And feel free to comment. Let me know what you thought about that breakdown. If you enjoyed, you know, this concept as a game, if you have your own spin on this that you'd like to see done, feel free to weigh in the comments and let me know about that. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, because it helps me out a whole bunch, and be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day and have for over 2 years straight. So if you enjoy this concept of finding out about a new, unique, artistic, original, or just fun and addictive indie game, make sure you support the channel if you can, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you back for another one tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for watching.